Hey everyone, welcome to another Power Monkey podcast. On today's episode, Chad and I interview two guests. We have Tasia Percevecz as well as the one and only Haley Adams, who finished fourth place at the 2020 CrossFit Games last week. Both of them are obviously incredible athletes in their own right. Tasia having competed with CrossFit Mayhem Freedom's team for a number of years, finishing on the top of the podium, and all the great things that the 19-year-old phenom Haley Adams has been able to do over the last couple of years. But what was interesting about this particular year, with all the craziness that has been going on and the changes to the schedule, Haley had Tasia in her corner as her coach at the games this year. It was great to be able to get the perspective of Tasia having been an athlete and now moving into the coaching role for Haley, what Haley's experience was like and what they both have going forward leading into the end of the 2020 and into the 2020 season. A lot of unknowns, what happened at the games last week, what were the challenges, what were her favorite events, those kind of things. Very cool to hear what Haley went through as an athlete in that situation, being in Aromas and experiencing CrossFit Games like never before. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Another thing I want to mention to you guys is our Monkey Method app. This is part of our Power Monkey training program. You can find it on both iOS and on Android. It's been out around for a while now, but recently we added a new subscription service to it. So instead of buying each plan individually, you can sign up for the subscription and get for a much lower price all of the plans that we offer. It's an incredible deal. It's something that we want to let everybody know about. If you've ever taken one of our clinics, come to one of our camps, trained with us, checked out one of our YouTube channels, this is where we put everything together into very, very specific plans. They are all level-based. You take an assessment according to what your skill level is. It throws you into a correct level and you build from there. Every exercise is associated with a very well-curated video database that we have in there. Even if you don't sign up for a plan, you can access our video database that has almost 1,200 videos in there for free. It is an incredible resource at a very low price. What you get in there is some incredible training from some of the top coaches in the world. I highly recommend you checking it out. Again, in the iTunes and Android store, it is called Monkey Method. Go ahead and check it out. We have a 5-star rating.
Haley and Tasia, guys, welcome to the show. We've been looking forward to this conversation for a while.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And first and foremost, of course, congratulations to you, Haley, for your performance, last weekend and really throughout the entire season. And before we dig into that too much, I actually wanted to ask Tasia a question here, because as a supporter of her, coaching her, when I coach, I still would rather be the athlete. I just get so much more nervous for my athletes. Just the whole process is just easier as an athlete. And you're, of course, a very accomplished athlete yourself. So from that whole crazy weekend and experience, are you recovered?
I think I'm recovered now because I've been out for a week since the games, but it was definitely a really interesting experience because I've never been on the other side of competing. I've mostly just been competing. And like we talked about a little bit before the call, it's so stressful being the coach because you don't want to mess up. I didn't want to mess up anything for Haley. I wanted everything to be in line so that she could just focus on competing. And then also when she's out there competing, you're so stressed because you just want her to do well. It was a great experience, but it definitely showed me the other side of coaching where, you're just, like you said, you want to be out there, but you're also just so stressed.
Yeah, absolutely. And really going through that as a coach, from my perspective, it definitely made me a better athlete, made me a better competitor, because I get in that situation. I'm like, oh, this is way easier than being on the other side. So I definitely appreciate those opportunities to coach. And I'm sure for you as well, not only coaching in competition, but do you find coaching just in the gym on a regular basis makes you a better athlete as well?
For sure. I actually don't coach a lot right now. I'm not traditionally Haley's coach. We're more of a training partner and friendship. Sure. But I can definitely see how, having your eyes on someone and helping direct someone could help you in competing as well.
It's almost like a parent situation, right? You do everything you can to make sure that that your child is ready for the real world, and then you let them go out into the real world and you're like, oh my God, hopefully nothing happens to them. Hopefully they make the right choices. Hopefully everything we did in the gym is what they do out in the competition arena. I recognize that same thing. I was so much more nervous when I transitioned to coaching. I had a year after I finished competing, where I went right into coaching some of the top guys on Team USA and taking them to, high level, world level competitions. And I remember being like, I am way more nervous lifting them up to the bar than I was actually going on the bar. And it was like, okay, now I know what my coaches feel like. Now I know what my parents feel like up in the stands and why they have to cover their eyes when they watch. And so you as a competitor who's still in the competition field, you have that same thing. Like, maybe I really like just being out there as a competitor more than I like being out there as a coach. It's like you're like, hopefully they can just do it now, right?
Yeah, for sure. Luckily, Haley is an incredible athlete, and she doesn't actually need me, so she went out there and crushed it.
Yeah, great athletes
help.
they're easy to coach. They're absolutely easy to coach, no problems, and especially one as tough as Haley is. And we saw her be really tough throughout the entire weekend, an incredible performance. And now, talking about coach-athlete relationship, and I know you said you're more of a training partner and stuff like that, and that's really cool. But I see you as a coach, as a mentor of Haley's, and I wonder, Haley, from your perspective, do you agree with that? How do you see Tasia, and how has she benefited you as an athlete?
Yeah, so I've been training with Tasia ever since I came to Cookeville. We're always partners in all the workouts that we do, and especially last year, we were all just battling with the boys. So I think that that's really where I got so fit from, was just competing with all of them. So not only has she helped me become physically better, but she's always there for me, and she's just kind of like a big sister. So if I'm having a bad day, she's there for me, and yeah, just overall, she's just helped me with everything.
And Haley, just so everyone, our listeners can understand, how long have you been in Cookeville? How long you've been training at Mayhem?
Yeah.
How old were you when you first got there?
It's been a little bit over 2 years, actually. I think I went in October of 2018. So I was 17 when I moved there.
So you were still a young pup. You were still just little baby going out, training with the big dogs, and you get thrown into the fire, right? You get thrown right into the fire of training with the top team in the whole world, some of the best athletes in the whole world. Intimidation, looking at it as an opportunity to grow. What was your first take going into the gym and seeing Rich and seeing Tasia and seeing the rest of the people that were part of that team?
Yeah, so I'm naturally really shy. So I was super intimidated, didn't really talk at all because I was just so scared. It took me a while to warm up, but now they're my best friends. But just looking back, I just laugh at myself because I was so shy. Literally the only person I would talk to was Tasia, actually.
Do you remember her coming in and just being, Tasia, were you like, this girl's got something when she first came in? 17 years old, can you tell right off the bat that she's got a future ahead of her that is pretty bright?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Haley was obviously already well decorated in the CrossFit space and very fit. And it's been cool just to see her climb and just get fitter. Because I remember when she first came in, we battle it out. We'd always be going head to head. And then over time, she just kept getting fitter and fitter and fitter. And she's still getting fitter. So it's cool to see.
I find this to be really interesting because, Haley, you're kind of a unicorn right now. You're an anomaly in the sense that you're the first athlete that has transitioned from the junior level to the senior level and had success. And, CrossFit is still kind of emerging. We're on kind of that first decade of competing or into the start of the second decade. But no athlete has really come from the younger ranks, from the, the junior level, and had any form of success making it to the games. And not only did you make it to the games now 2 years in a row, but, finishing in the top 5, being a presence at 19 years old, did you have a sense kind of coming into your first senior level that you'd be able to compete with these, top girls in the world as well as you have been?
Yeah, I competed at regionals in 2018 and I was 11th that year. So I knew I could kind of compete at a higher level, just wasn't sure if I could make the games yet. So going into the 2018 season, or 2019, I originally was just going to go team on independence, and then ended up making it individually to the games, which was definitely one of my top moments in CrossFit because, like I said, I didn't think I could make it as individual right after. So
it's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And I know that everyone finished watching you. And I want to get into the games. I know Chad has a lot of questions about specifically the week that you guys had, but just watching your performance and watching you grow up, we've had some interaction with you over the years, being that you've been to Power Monkey Camp for a number of years now. And we saw you as a young teenager kind of emerging onto the scene and to where you are now, turning into one of the top athletes, has been incredible to watch. And so I just am incredibly impressed, and I want to say congratulations, and I'm really proud of what you've done this past season. I can't wait to see what you do next. But it's been really cool to see, how old were you when you came to Power Monkey Camp the first time?
Oh my goodness, I was 15.
15 years old.
Right?
So
Is this 2016?
I think so. Yeah, I think you were.
I would have turned 16 in December then. Yeah.
Yeah, so you were still new to even the junior scene, but making waves there, winning the junior competitions and everything. So we've had kind of a front row seat over the past 4 years to kind of see you emerge as a top athlete. It's been amazing. So I just want to say congrats, and I can't wait to see what comes next. But
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking to Chris just last week about how, as Dave said, impressed we were with, the improvements that you've been able to make, specifically because we're technicians, we coach movement and technique, and that's our big thing. And, to see your movement on the weightlifting side improve, and maybe we'll dig into that a little bit here in a little while, but congratulations on those improvements for sure as well. But, getting into the CrossFit Games as a whole, we saw you there on YouTube right at the end when you finished, and just in tears at the end of the weekend after that last workout. What were those tears about, and how were you feeling then, and how do you feel now in comparison?
Yeah, I mean, I think the tears were just for being so close to the podium. I think it was like 25 points, which is like one spot. So just knowing that I was so close, it definitely hurt a little bit. But then I gave myself like 5 minutes to be sad because I'm a competitor, Mm-hmm. But then I kind of turned it around. I was like, I'm literally upset because I didn't make it on the podium. Like, how crazy is that? Like, I mean, they were real tears, but I'm not sad about it anymore, and just use it for like fuel for the fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely understandable. And as a competitor in that situation, if you're not upset, then maybe you shouldn't be competing anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. But from the outside looking in, certainly, we're all proud of you and very impressed with your performance. And throwing it back to Tasia, how were you feeling in that moment when you've watched her finish out the 3 days? She comes to the finish line of that last workout.
Yeah, I was just so proud of her, truly. And I totally understood the tears from being a competitor. I get it, but I didn't want her to feel like she wasn't incredible, because she was absolutely incredible. So just trying to like be there and remind her of that was pretty much the only thing I was thinking.
Yeah, I think she thought I was like crying because I was like hurting from my workout or something. She was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No, I'm just sad."
Yeah.
All the medical people were coming off. I was like, "Oh, I'm just sad."
I do want to talk about that particular workout not quite yet, but I do want to talk about that particular workout. But I just found it fascinating that, when Carrie Pierce crossed the finish line, she's laying down on the ground, and her first comment was, "I really like that workout." And everybody was like, "Oh my goodness, you guys are at another level. You guys are purely on another level that I don't think most athletes will ever understand." But the start of the week, everything that's gone on this season, it's a season like no other. You've never had to deal with the challenges that come along with what's happened in 2020. Getting to the CrossFit Games has been completely different. What was the biggest change or the biggest difficulty in terms of adjustments that you guys had to make going to California this year? Tasia, as you as a coach, but also as a Games competitor in the past, and then Haley, you as an athlete, what was the biggest change and biggest challenge going into California and getting ready for the week of competition?
Well, I think the hardest part of the whole season was when the game just kept getting moved around or online. We're going to California, and then like just moving around to all different dates. That was probably the hardest part of the season, because you didn't know when to ramp up or like peak or try to peak, So that was definitely a really hard thing to do, and just mentally stay in it. But once we figured all that out and the dates were final and I had actually made it, it was much easier to train for, because we knew what we were like going to train for. And going to compete in California. Like, obviously, it's like the typical game stuff. So after the online thing, it was way easier from there. But leading up to that, it was definitely not so easy.
What about you, Tasia?
Yeah, well, my season obviously ended way earlier. We knew, I think in July, that we weren't going to be competing, but just helping Haley then stay in it for those long periods of time, because their season was almost a year, which is way longer than normal. That was, just hard, for her more so, but just being there and being present.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I wouldn't have had them, I don't know what I would have done. It was so hard, like just showing up, especially when we didn't know what we were training for at one point. Like, even if the games are going to happen, or, it was hard staying up for a little bit.
Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, it's a very CrossFit way to look at a competition, right? It's like, you don't even know when you're competing or if you're competing.
Yeah.
It's like, probably the only place you can get away with that is CrossFit. But
right.
it puts a strain on any athlete, any coach, any training plan trying to get prepped and to peak at the right time. How do you do that? So I totally understand from a competitor standpoint that can be a huge challenge.
Now, I want to get back to that last workout that Dave was mentioning. We've been talking about it a little bit, and Carrie Pierce saying, I really like that workout. Haley, did you really like that workout? And also, what was your favorite workout of the weekend?
I didn't mind that workout. It's not like my favorite thing to go out and do, though, So yeah, I guess I'm just kind of on the fence. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. That's a lot of reps. It's just like, who wants to sit there and do 200 pistols in a weight vest?
Well, I think
love that part.
I think the meme of the competition are your hands. Yeah. Your hands post competition got put up everywhere. It was they were mangled. They were.
5 pull-ups already get hard after 100. So add what it feels like soap is on my hand. So I'm sliding off the bar, trying to do 5 pull-ups that are already hard without adding on to the slipperiness. So yeah, that was fun.
Did you have a specific? Did you have a strategy when it came to breaking up anything, or were we just like, I'm just going to go until fatigue sets in?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I never have a strategy. I just kind of go when I feel,
Then I would recommend that you not change that then, because you're doing incredibly well with that.
I don't know why. I just psych myself out. If I'm I gotta do this,
Right.
Well, when you have the ability to back it up the way that you do, I guess that's certainly a strategy that you can use. If it was me, who is not as a lazy weightlifter, I've got to game every single CrossFit workout that I do.
You want to do that one again? Haley, would you do that workout again? No.
Oh, I thought you were asking me. I was like, what? No. I don't recommend anyone do that workout. I saw you did it though.
Yeah, I gave it a try the other day.
Goodness, no way.
My hands got torn to shit too. They were bleeding all over the place.
No.
Dave, everybody's wondering. We got to know what your time was.
Oh, I put it up.
Okay.
I did strict handstand push-ups, but I didn't have a weight vest. So
oh my God.
I did an hour and 7 minutes. So.
Nice.
That's good.
I don't even know what my time was.
Yeah. So that's what it was. And I couldn't raise my arm over my head for 4 days because my...
Honestly, I actually kind of still can't. There's still this part right here. It's just one now. I can straighten the other one.
Yeah. The struggles of a ridiculous workout. Going back to Chad's other question, what was your favorite workout? Did you have one that you were really excited about?
Yeah, I think going into it wouldn't have been my favorite, but I think my favorite workout was that bike and Legos workout. That was really
cool. Wow.
Yeah, I really liked that workout. Not because of placings, it was legit fun to see it all play out. I feel like as a spectator, it would have been fun to watch.
That's interesting.
I liked watching the men's, so yeah.
Yeah. So did you say the bike and rope climb workout? Or
it was the ride down to the I don't know, what was it?
Right, yeah, it was the bike sprint or something, right?
Yeah.
The bike repeater.
Yeah.
What did you think of that one, Tasia?
I love that one. I thought it was really fun because the coaches, we got to be actually on the sideline there, and be close. So I could like cheer for her and she could actually hear me, because a lot of the workouts before when she was at the ranch, obviously we weren't allowed to go until the last day. So it was cool to be super close and just see her run her race, because she started, and I think you were maybe like third or fourth in the beginning.
Yeah,
like
everyone
right
started
off the
out
bat.
so hot.
Mm.
Yeah, and then just
As
watch you kind of like chip, people away and come up, and like you were even gaining on Tia at the end, which was really cool just to see you just keep moving in your own race and do well.
I remember that being one that Hinshaw wasn't a huge fan. We did a games recap the other day, and Hinshaw thought it was a little boring to watch. And
Really?
yeah, because he was just hoping that, if you have a bike and you have the ranch, use the trails. And like he didn't like the fact that it was just like straight up and down. He was like, we could have put like mountain bikes, and you guys could have done.
Let me tell you what, I don't want to ride a bike on those trails out there. No.
Oh my God, carrying that corn sack up. Watching that too. So in the corn sack race, it was Tia came up first, and then Katrin, and then you guys were all piled up.
Yeah.
And you were right behind her, and we were like, who's gonna come over that ridge first? And then the camera cut, and nobody showed up. And we're like, what happened? Like, where did they go? And they had to cut back, and you had dropped the bag. We didn't know what exactly happened back there. What happened? Did it just slip and the bag fell?
Well, so my conclusion, where we all got jammed up, it was like a bunch of, I think it was black sand, like it was deep, and it was just straight up on a hill. So I think what happened was, since Katrin was in front, like she could kind of lean into it, but since I was right behind her, I obviously like couldn't lean into her, or I'd like be on her butt. So I think I tried to walk a bit straight up and then just, started toppling over. I was holding on to a tree with one hand and the same bag in the other.
Yeah, but then Brooke and Carrie couldn't pass you either. It was such a tight space.
I was not letting.
They were like, "No, you guys, I'm elbows out."
No way. I was like laying out.
So there were a couple other events. Chad, I want to bring up one other event. I want to talk about others, but there were one that obviously stood out to me, the handstand walk sprint, that I thought was really cool, especially after the handstand hold that we saw in the first part of the games. But Haley, you were freaking amazing. You and Kara were the only two that did unbroken. Did you intend to do that? And have you ever walked that distance before? Have you done 100 yards before in your hands? That's incredibly difficult. So if anybody doesn't know, walking 100 yards on your hands unbroken, whether or not you won, wherever you finished, But to do it unbroken is ungodly difficult. None of the guys did it. None of the guys did it unbroken.
Dave, I have a hard time walking 100 yards on my feet. It gets my breath, so I can't even imagine.
No,
it was amazing.
I didn't know what to do. I just kind of, went for it. But did the other two girls do unbroken?
Carrie did. Brooke did not.
Yeah, I wish it would have been down and back, because like I don't think my shoulder, like I didn't really even feel my shoulders until the end, So I wish it would have like tested shoulder fatigue, if that makes sense. I feel like, I mean, maybe he was trying to test like a sprint. I don't know. But I went as fast as I could and still did it unbroken and got third. So I'm like, geez, everyone else must have been flying. But yeah, I thought it was cool, but just wish it would have been down and back.
Wow. I never would have guessed that the idea of going down and back would have been preferred, but
yeah, I don't think I was anywhere like near failure yet.
Wow.
I mean, my shoulders started to get fatigued, but I wish it would have been down and back, because then I think that it would have tested shoulder fatigue.
Amazing.
Well, it's probably true for you on your feet as well. You'd probably rather run a longer distance than a shorter distance, right?
Who, me?
Hey, Haley. I think she froze up there for a second. Did you hear me, Haley? I think you froze up.
I kind of heard you.
Oh, I was saying it's probably the same if you were on your feet. You'd probably choose a longer distance over a shorter distance.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. I don't like the sprint.
Tasia, you come from gymnastics background. Have you done that before? Have you done 100-yard walk before? What'd you think of that event?
No, I've never done the 100 yards before, but I definitely want to try it. I, similar to Haley, for her sake, think being longer would have been better for her, just because we do a ton of volume handstand walking here, but we're never really going like as fast as we can. So it was interesting. I liked it. I mean, I like handstand walk anyways. The more, the better.
Yeah.
Now,
I thought it was a pretty cool event.
I was just going to say, How competitive are you guys with each other? I mean, I assume you guys throw down a lot being training partners and everything else, but Tasia, if you try that workout and you beat Haley, are you going to kind of rub it in her face a little bit?
No, I know that Haley would definitely beat me in a handstand walk because I come from a gymnastics background and I've always been like, oh, I love handstand walks. I'm pretty good at handstand walks. And then Haley started hanging out with us and working out with us. And I'd be like, dang, this girl's so good at handstand walks.
I'm saying, like, I can't go really fast, though. Like, I guess Carrie and Brooke were kind of, like, sprinting on their hands. I can't go really fast, but I'm pretty good at, like, when I'm under fatigue, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Super good. Where I'm better at, like, I think I could go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't go that fast.
Yeah.
All right, we got to set it up another 100
I
yards between the two. Do speed or duration? What do we got?
I'll jump into it if you let me go on my feet, right? You guys will probably beat me. Now, I wonder from your perspective, Tasia, just being there in person and watching, what was the funnest event for you to watch?
The bike repeater was a lot of fun just being there. Like I said, I could be right there with Haley. I really loved watching the swim workout because I wish I could have been there. I knew Haley was going to do well at it and that it was going to be fast. So I enjoyed watching that one. And then she obviously was really successful. So that makes it even more fun.
Yeah, that one was.
That one looked like the worst workout. That one looked awful.
I've never felt my body feel like that on the third swim. So the one from the salt bike to the swim is always the worst one. Like I've never felt like my body like that after that third assault bike. It was like going numb. I was like, have the breaststroke. Can't just make it to the other side of the pool.
Yeah, it
Your
seems like
these were so fast.
I felt like I was dying.
It does seem like that workout was harder than the last one. I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
As far as like a hurting standpoint, yes, that workout hurt way more. The last one was just kind of like moved through it, like I never was at like a red line in that workout. Muscle fatigue, yes, but like the way I felt.
Right.
All right, I got another workout that I want to ask you about. So the 5K/10K, the real challenge to that event was not knowing what you had to do and that there was the surprise. Now, the people that really got the surprise were Matt and Justin, who were the first to cross the finish line and be told by Dave to turn around and go back. Now, when they were running back and all the other people that had been told that if they were halfway when they crossed the finish line, did you have an inclination as to why they were coming back? Did you know at that point that you were going to have to turn around? Or was it once you got to the finish line that you recognized exactly what was going on?
Well, so I passed them. They were coming back up the hill, and I passed them running down when the finish line is right there. So I was like, well, maybe, like, we have to run up to the top of this hill and back, like, and then we're done. So I had no idea. I didn't know what it was going to be. I really to the top of the hill. And then he was like, that's one lap. And I'm like, it's like panic mode.
So pacing is a huge part of that, right? Because even Hinshaw was talking about how Tia was running more like it was a 5K. So when she finished up, she didn't really have reserves to kind of get back for that second leg. How did you feel? Did you feel like you had enough in the tank to be able to complete it where it wasn't going to absolutely crush you? Was your training preparing you for something like that? Or did you feel like that second 5K was extremely challenging?
Well, the thing about the second 5K is, like, you no longer can worry about anyone else. Like, you literally can only do what you have left. And I think we were all in the same boat. We were all pushing hard because we thought that we were almost done. Like, you see the ranch, you could kind of see on the hills like that we were kind of getting close. Like, you could see the cars and, so I was like, okay, we're almost done. I mean, like, just start pushing it. So I think everyone did that. So I think we were all in the same boat. And I mean, it was definitely one of the most mentally challenging things I've ever done. Because, not gonna lie, like, the first 5-10 minutes, I was so over it. I wanted to be done so bad. I was like, I can't believe we have to go back. And all you can think about is all the hills you've like climbed up, or the ones that I literally had to slide down on my butt coming down. I'm like, now I have to climb up those, So it was really hard. Did
you, Tasia, as a coach, first, you guys don't find out until the athletes find out, right? So you guys aren't in the know on any of this stuff. What did you think when you saw them say, turn around and go back?
I was very stressed when they kept saying there was a surprise. I was like trying to ESP like to Haley. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. So I knew she would do well, just I know she runs long well. So I think for like looking at the other athletes, like I put myself in that situation and that would have just totally crushed me. But knowing Haley, how good she is at running long, I felt like although I was stressed for like the amount of volume, I thought it would be good for her that it was longer. So I was okay with it in a sense.
Yeah, I would never be okay with that. I can't even imagine. I think
really bad. I'm not gonna lie.
I definitely
really
got sick at my stomach when I saw that happen.
Even
Literally.
just talking about any kind of distance running with Chad makes his stomach hurt. He's like,
yeah.
A lot of this was literally walking straight up a hill, like you're on your hands and knees. So it was awful.
I think that got lost on the viewers, is that I don't think people have an appreciation for how steep some of those hills. And it's not like running a 5K. You know, running a 5K is much different than running through that trek that you had to do. So, you know, those hills are really, really brutal.
Yeah, I'd like going down, I'd have to be really careful. And then my feet would just come out from under me and I'd just be sliding down and you can't stop. Like you're just going fast, just trying to find something to hang on to. It's just like sliding so fast.
Was that the first time you had been to the ranch and tested those things out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time. So
everything was new.
Yeah, everything was new.
All right. One more games question for an event that I have. I'm sure we have others, but the kettlebell lunge event, toes to bar lunge, that was particularly interesting because of how wet the ground was. To me, that was all about transitions. That was all about where you place the kettlebells. Tia had a really good strategy as placing the kettlebells really close to where she was up on the bar, and it seemed to make the transitions a little bit faster. But how wet the grass was also impacted your ability to lunge effectively. And I saw you and Carrie specifically having trouble keeping your footing. And there was a point in the footage where you slipped almost into like a full split, and it looked like you dropped the kettlebell on your leg.
Yeah, I did.
That looked like, 24 kilo kettlebell dropping on your shin like that. What happened there? It
left a good mark. I could feel it when I walked.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, it was like directly dropping on your shin. Yeah, no comment on it. Got up, kept walking. I was just curious if the footing was actually that bad and whether or not anything had actually happened to your shin that affected you.
I don't know. I mean, it hurt. Don't get me wrong, but it like didn't affect me. And it did. It was unfortunate the grass was wet because once Carrie fell, I was like, oh, my passer. And then I went down, you know, and that's something that you can't help. Like, I couldn't help that I fell, and I guess everyone else maybe got lucky that they didn't fall, you know?
Right, right.
Well, let's get into something that'll make my stomach feel a little bit better. Let's talk about the weightlifting workouts. And, you know, Haley, you talk about not really having a game plan and just going out there and going after it. Is that the same for the weightlifting workouts? And what was your mindset going in, you know, obviously being the underdog in the total and the snatch ladder?
Yeah, on the total, I didn't really have a game plan. Just knew that I could only lift what I could lift, you know. We did have a little bit like of a strategy thing on the deadlift part because I was trying to beat Katrin, and I didn't know what weight I was putting on the bar, and I ended up like just doing more than I needed to do, but it was totally fine because I made it. But like if I wouldn't have made it, then I probably wouldn't have won. So that was the only thing in the total. And I had Tasia and Rich tell me what to do. So that helps. But gosh, if I didn't have them, I don't know what I would have been doing.
Nice. And those numbers that you made in the total and ultimately at the end of the first round on the snatch, what are those numbers compared to your best?
I think that's about my best back squat. That's not my best strict press, and that's my best deadlift, I think. I think I have more in me, though, in my deadlift. So that was cool.
What was that deadlift number?
It was 325.
Yeah,
which isn't a lot, but for me. And then the snatch was not good. I was pretty sick that night before, lost a lot of fluids, so it was pretty weak that day. I'm not the strongest, but 155 is like it does not look like that for me, and it was just survival mode at that point because, like I said, it felt really weak, super shaky, didn't feel good. So yeah, I didn't really have a game plan that. It just felt really, really heavy because my best snatch is 185 and that was 155 and
Okay.
it was like legit heavy. Like I couldn't do it like I usually can.
So you feel under different circumstances you would have been able to maybe go a little faster and maybe get past that first round?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
was kind of bet myself to maybe get fourth, but just it didn't feel
Right.
great. Had a
Well, it
bad
was a
night.
struggle for even Brooke at that point, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
it gives you a better indication of how fatiguing the rest of the workout was up to that 155 bar.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Because I was like, oh, this is embarrassing again. Because
No,
usually it
I
does
mean,
not look like that.
well,
It was felt really heavy.
I wouldn't feel embarrassed for sure, and I'm the weightlifter, so hopefully that makes you feel a little bit better. But I didn't
Yeah.
realize your best was 185, and that's incredible. And like I said before, it was a pleasure for me to watch you. To see the few little improvements that you've made in your technique and the snatch, and to be able to obviously maintain those when you're moving so fast and under those conditions. So congratulations to you on that for
Thank
sure.
you. It's been a lot of work.
Absolutely.
Tasia, watching any of those lifts and things like that, anything that you noticed from watching the other girls too, as to suggestions, things that you were thinking in your head that might come this workout happens again, suggestions that you think would be helpful for someone like Haley, or if you had to do it, that you might change?
You mean for the total or for
Yeah,
the snatch?
the
For the
total.
total? Yeah, I think it was a really unique situation from the coaching standpoint because, like I said, normally in the CrossFit Games world, like I would send Haley out if she was like my athlete and she wouldn't be in contact with me in the middle of the workout. But because there was only 5 of them, we had access to us. And so there was like this weird, not weird, but a unique circumstance of where all the coaches had like notebooks and, calculators and stuff. And I was a little bit unprepared in that sense because I didn't even think like we're going to be doing math, and it became kind of more like a game.
Mm-hmm.
But you can only lift, like Haley can only lift what she can lift. But the thing is, she didn't really know solid 1 reps of where she was at and how she was feeling. And that's totally normal. So I guess realizing that it can come down to become a little bit of a game, not just go out and do your best, right? Like in theory, she would have lifted 320 and easily came in 4th, but she went 325, which thank goodness she made it. But yeah, I learned that there's like a little bit more strategy than you'd think to something like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in that sense, we were talking about it with Hinshaw, knowing your athlete, or the better you know your athlete and how they move weights, the speed at which they move weights normally, like on a squat or a deadlift and a press, is very, very important. So you can help them make those types of decisions. Now, I wonder, Haley, and we can talk about the games more if you guys want, but I wanted to touch on your training a little bit, and specifically through this last year. Obviously, there's been a lot going on, but beginning the year of training that you've gone through, what has been your major focus in your training? Has it been the Olympic lifts or something else?
Honestly, I can't even really say that we had a focus. Like when you say so, Tasia, sounds bad, but I just train with Rich and Tasia and just do whatever they do. And I probably should focus a little bit more in the off season, like now, like on Olympic lifting. But this year in season, I didn't really focus on anything. I just trained like normal.
Well, I mean, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of athletes do better if they, know completely the entire plan, and they make a big portion of the decisions. And some athletes do better if they don't know, and you just do what you're supposed to do, and train on a general basis. And the thing is that, look at what you did this year. Look at where you placed and what you've accomplished and your age. So it would be hard for me, even as a weightlifter. Obviously, I'd like you to focus more on the Olympic lifts. I'm a weightlifter, right? But it would be hard for me to tell you to do that because you're still improving and you're doing so well. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Who's programming right now? Tasia, is it Rich doing all the programming for you guys, or is it a combination of various people from the team who put it together? Who does your daily programming?
Yeah, it's mostly Rich. When we're like Haley and I in the gym, we'll like talk through workouts and help write them all together, but it's mostly Rich.
And can you give us guys a rundown of what like a daily a regular day is when you're in training mode, what that looks like from wake up to bedtime?
Yeah, we usually wake up. Well, I usually wake up right before I have to go train. We train at 8:30 for our first session. That usually goes to like 11:30-ish. Then we break, and then we come back around 3:30, and usually that will go around 5:30, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
So you got about 5 hours a day of straight training, a little bit of
No, I
break in the
wouldn't say
middle.
straight training, but
Right. While you're in the gym.
you know what I
That's
mean.
like
Yeah, you know
that's
what
like
I mean.
gymnasts and weightlifters training for, 7-8 hours a day, where the actual time that we're on the apparatus is a fraction of the fraction of that time,
Right,
considering
yeah.
that we sit down for most of our time. Gymnasts probably don't sit down as much as weightlifters do,
No,
but
no
it's
way.
in the same general world where we're sitting down quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, I stand up through my whole workouts now. Since I've been doing CrossFit for 10 years, I'm finally at least conditioned enough to not have to sit down. So I'm very,
Yes.
very proud to be able to say that.
Good work.
Baby steps.
Yeah, you guys should be proud for sure. But talking about your training and those hours a day, how many days a week do you guys, are you 6 days a week? Do you do something every day?
I usually do something 6 days a week. Yeah.
6 days.
Sundays rest.
You as well,
Same.
Tasia?
Yeah, I do the same. Haley and our schedules are pretty similar.
What about Rich?
7 days.
Never rest.
Never.
He's an
But hey,
anomaly.
Yeah, who's going to tell Rich anything different? I mean, you can't, right?
Yeah,
You
right?
can't.
No.
Now, Tasia, for you as an athlete, what is your mindset moving forward into this next year? And a lot of that is probably still unknown, but do you have something specific that you feel you need to focus on?
Yeah, like you said, a lot is unknown with the season as far as I think even individuals and teams, we don't really know what's happening. My focus is usually similar to Haley's. I follow along. I know Rich's, what he programs and what he does has worked.
Mm-hmm.
So I love just following along with that, and then always running. So like you, I always need a little bit more running, a little bit more swimming. Some of that single modality stuff will help me.
Well, the difference is even if I need running, I'm not necessarily going to do it like you're going to do it, and I'm not, right? Now, being a mentor of Haley's and someone that obviously helped coach her there at the CrossFit Games, from your perspective, do you see anything that you think she needs to work on to put extra time in, or do you think that she should just keep doing what she's doing?
We'll definitely keep doing what she's doing. I know that even talking like with Rich and Haley, a little bit more strength is going to help her for sure. And I mean, she's only 19, so she's still growing and putting on muscle. So it's not, I don't think it's a huge concern. I think it's going to come over time, but putting in, we're doing right now, we're working with a little bit of a strength cycle. So when she gets back into town, she'll be on the same thing, and I'm sure that will help.
Yeah. Where are you at right now, Haley?
I'm in North Carolina, back at home.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
definitely enjoy your time there and a little bit of time off. Like you said, you're still feeling your body a little bit, right? So maybe a little bit more recovery is in need.
This is like the first year where it's not like where I feel super sore. I was really sore, but also like just everything in my body just felt like I got hit by a train. Like my knees were hurting, my elbows were hurting, my ankles were hurting. Like that was the first time I actually felt like, oh my gosh, like what in the world? Literally got hit by a
Casho's
train.
hearing that and he's saying, "Yes, I did my job."
Yeah. My knees, my elbows, my neck, my back, everything.
I would say that most of that is probably from the 200 pistols. I mean, I'm just guessing that on top of everything else, but that's probably what put it over the edge.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
So I want to get back to just Cookeville in general. You moved there a little over 2 years ago. Tasia, how many years have you been there now?
3 years.
3 years. And it's turned into, a mecca for elite training. Rich home base, all these incredible athletes have slowly started to kind of make their way there. And in a lot of ways, I look at it as kind of CrossFit Olympic Training Center in the same way that Colorado Springs is. It's turned into the location that people kind of go to reach their max potential. One, do you guys view it in that same way? Like if you want to be the best, this is one of the locations where that allows for that to come true. And then also, I want to segue into speaking a little bit about Tia and Matt, since they are there as well, and just talk about their level of greatness and kind of the interaction that might happen since they're in town as well. But first part of it, and Tasia, let's start with you. Just what do you envision kind of what Cookeville has allowed for kind of the next phase of where athletes can go in the CrossFit space?
Yeah, I definitely think it's that. Like, if you want to be the best, surrounding yourself with the best is gonna only help and bring you up. And that's definitely been a testament to my career from coming in and just being around Rich and the other people, Haley, that are here that are super fit and incredible. It's only grown me, pushed me to make me better. So I think that Cookeville being one of the places, there are other places too, but if you want to be great, to surround yourself with people who are great, and that will only help.
What about you, Haley?
Yeah, I mean, obviously not everything works for everyone. That environment that is at the barn has personally been the best for me. I thrive off of that kind of space. So I think that's where, it's perfect for me. But like I said, it doesn't work for everyone, but I think everyone just has to figure out what works for them, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I just want to make sure I heard that, because you broke up a little bit there. You're saying training at the barn is kind of a best case scenario for you in terms of training environment? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it works best for me, and not everyone, has the same things that they like, but for me personally, it's been amazing.
Mm-hmm. Now, just to switch gears and talk about the champs for a second, because, I don't think you could go through that weekend and not recognize what both of them did. And you being a competitor against someone like Tia, and that being what you're trying to strive towards, and also being in the same town as her, training, not that far away, probably not on a regular basis. But what did you think of her performance over the course of the weekend? And do you think she has weaknesses that are capable of being exposed? Do you think you have the ability to kind of catch her within the next year or so?
What they did is truly amazing. They're so good at what they do, obviously, and we all put in the same amount of work, and just seeing how much she won by, it's insane. And I think we all would want to be at that level too and be able to be that dominant. I think in a few years, once I really build up to my top strength and hopefully be even fitter by then, I would love to give her a run. I definitely think I still have a lot of work to do, and I'm sure everyone else would say the same, but yeah, maybe one day.
Tasia, what do you think, seeing that type of performance, and then from an athlete perspective who knows what it takes to get that level, but then also watching from a coach's perspective?
Yeah, I definitely echo what Haley was saying. Like, she is totally incredible. Her and Matt both, they did amazing, super fit. And I think just seeing their pair dynamic of male-female training partner is such a benefit. Like, I know with Haley pairing with Rich a lot, and I've been able to pair with Rich, that helps so much, because you're competing and you want to win, but it's never feels bad if you lose. So I think that helps a ton. And Haley's proved that she's, incredible as well. And she's only growing. So you never know what will happen in time. Yeah, I don't think Tia has any holes, and she's developed that over time for sure. So everyone else is just going to be trying to close whatever holes they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And the holes thing, right? Neither of them seem to have any holes. You put them in a sprint, you put them in the water, you put them on a bike, and they seem to excel. And, we talk about this a lot with Matt, is that he seeks out his weaknesses and, does everything in his power to turn a weakness into a strength, whether that be rope climbs or whether that be sprinting. Do you try to do the same thing, Haley? It seems like right now your approach is more just head down and go. But do you really see kind of just the strength being the big limiting factor right now that you really need to kind of key in on over the next course of the next few years?
Yeah, I think definitely strength is the one thing that kind of holds me back, because I would like to think I'm fit enough to kind of keep up, or mostly keep up. But I don't think I should be in any rush to try to put 50 pounds on in my squat in 1 year. I think that for me personally, I know my body, and I think that would do more harm than good. So I'm not in any rush to put on a bunch of, strength really fast, but it is my thing, and I'm getting better. I'm moving in the right direction. So as long as that's still happening, then I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. It certainly seems like you're on the right track and the proper course for sure.
What's end of 2020 and start of 2021 looking like with training schedule? How long are you going to be taking off? Do you have something on the agenda competition-wise, or still just things are so up in the air that you don't really have any plan moving beyond this point?
Things are so up in the air, especially we don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if things are going to lock down again or what even the season's going to look like. But I've taken a week off of working out, so that's been nice. Because I literally qualified for the games a year ago that I just competed in. I haven't really had a break at all. So I definitely needed a break. I'll still be training as in I'm in off season for sure. Even when I go back to Cookeville, I've got to make sure I'm not going too crazy. Because I'm sure it's going to be a long season again if things end up like this again. But yeah, I guess the Open, it's the next thing. So we've still got quite a while until that.
Well, I would say that's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah, February, right?
February, I think.
Don't even say that word.
Yeah, don't remind us.
Well, but
I think it's like 4
certainly,
months. Let's keep it at that.
yeah, certainly
God.
plenty of time for you to get recovered. Now, I was wondering, as you were talking about that, how long has it been since you've had a week off?
I don't know.
Since you've allowed yourself to take a week off, right?
I think last year after the games, I took like a few days off, but I was so stressed about the Open being within like a month and a half that I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't, like I can't let myself go. But I truly should have taken a week off because that was like the only rest I had the whole season.
Yeah.
What about you, Tasia? From a competitive standpoint, goal the same for the upcoming year? Say the games move forward, say you can compete as a team again. Is the same goal in mind, compete as part of Mayhem, end up back on the podium again? What's your personal agenda and team agenda?
Yeah, I mean, that would be it for sure, to compete with Mayhem Freedom. I love competing on the team. It's been so fun, and to end up in first place is always the goal. Kind of like Haley said, we don't know of any competitions outside of the Open right now. We don't know anything about what the season's going to look like. So just trying to, until we have clarity on that, it's going to be hard to actually move forward with anything concrete.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And I think we're all kind of just holding our breath and seeing what the winter looks like and hoping that the spring gets here and that we're in a much better place. I think we're getting close to the end here, and I think we've gotten a lot of great information for our listeners to kind of understand a little bit of what goes into competing at the CrossFit Games, especially one that was so unique as this one. But before you guys head out, do you mind answering a few quick questions? We'll ask both of you guys some last minute quick fire questions for you.
Yeah,
sure.
All right, so the first one, both of you, Chad and I have a running tally on this one, so it's very important to make sure that wins keep coming in my favor. Haley, start with you. Haley, start with you. What is your preferred sport or discipline, weightlifting or gymnastics?
Gymnastics.
No hesitation.
Thank you. Tasia?
Gymnastics.
Yes! Doubled it up. Chad, you have no chance. You're never catching me.
No, I knew that was going to go very, very bad. Now, if Tasia comes to Power Monkey Camp maybe a couple times, maybe I can sway her towards weightlifting a little bit more. I'm not sure.
I think she took the snatch station this last camp, didn't you?
I did. It was actually incredible. I've been doing squat snatches for years, and I still had plenty to learn. So it was great.
Well, we got to get Chad to hopefully give you some more tips, but never sway you away from answering gymnastics with that question.
At least a little bit. I mean, you gotta give me a little win at least.
All right, next quick question. Are there any guests that you would love to see us have on? Anybody that you think would be a really good fit for our podcast? Anybody that comes to mind?
I was going to say Mike Malloy, but is he already on it?
Mike's been on twice. Yeah,
2 or 3 times, I think.
Mike, obviously, in M2 Nutrition, Performance Nutrition, is a huge part of Power Monkey and camp, and Mike's a part of our family. So, of course, we love Mike, and we love having him on.
Well, we'll just have him on again then, since Tasia said we need to have him on. Let's just have him on again.
Every time we talk to Mike, he's got some kind of incredible piece of information that's worth putting out to the world, so I wouldn't mind that at all.
Definitely.
What about you, Haley?
I would say maybe a top-level gymnast.
Okay.
I don't know who, but How about Simone Biles?
You know,
Go.
she came up recently in another podcast. We might have to pull some strings, see if we
Sure.
get Simone on. Yeah.
Yeah, come
you
on,
go.
Dave. I mean,
All right.
surely
All
you've
right.
got some sort of connection that we
Yeah.
can make that happen,
I'll
right?
do my best.
And it has been a while since we had a gymnast on, and we never have weightlifters on. Can you believe that? Dave
That's
won't
not
allow
true
it.
at all.
He just doesn't want to get a check against him. He doesn't. Except,
Mo-
you guys will believe this. Mike Service didn't choose weightlifting when we asked him that question. Of course, he's a weightlifter.
Maybe
So
he's burnt out.
yeah.
yeah, it could be. Oh well. All right. Well, just a couple last questions here. Tasia, you first. Do you prefer reading a book, watching a movie, a documentary, a TV series, and what one would you recommend?
I love reading books. I read a lot of books. I'm trying to think of one that if I could only pick one to recommend. I love The Alchemist. I think that's like a one that a lot of people have already read, but that's one of my favorite books. So that'd be one.
Awesome. How about yourself, Haley?
I don't read books, but I really like The Vampire Diaries. Full
Nice.
notebooks.
You don't have to pick a book. You can pick
Yeah.
a movie, documentary,
Yeah.
TV
No,
show.
not. It's a series.
Okay.
Series. What series do you watch the most? What's your binge worthy?
I also like Girl too.
You know, she's
Say
breaking
that
up
again,
on my
Haley. You
end.
broke up there a little bit.
I said also like Gossip Girl too, and Vampire Diaries.
Gossip Girl. All right. We can go with that. That's got to go to the top of all of our lists there, Dave, on all the recommendations.
I'll have to
that we-
catch
Yeah,
up.
I'm sure you'll love it.
You
Sadie
know,
will like it.
Right.
it's probably is really good. Every time I hesitate to watch something, and I'm like, I'm not gonna like that. I'll start watching it, and I can't stop. So
We
Exactly.
started
don't
watching
doubt.
something. I fell asleep in the first episode, and Sadie's like loved it. The Queen's Gambit, and she's like she can't get enough of it. This new show on Netflix with this girl that plays chess, and it's like supposed to be this amazing show. So I'm sure Sadie would recommend that one if she was on the podcast today. But
Jody was trying to get me to watch this series for like 6 months straight. It's called New Girl. I don't know if you guys have heard of it.
I've
Oh,
heard
yeah,
of
it's
that.
funny.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I started watching it here recently, and I can't stop. In fact, it's affecting my sleep. Like I can't, I'm just sitting there watching it at night. And
you know
so
what? You know what? So Tasia and Haley, I don't know if you know this about Chad, but Chad is one of the world's foremost aficionados of the show Friends.
absolutely,
He loves Friends, like
Ah.
every episode. So New Girl has a lot of Friends
Yeah,
kind of humor
it
to
does.
it. So
It
maybe
does,
that's
for
why you
sure.
like it so much.
No, it is. But yeah, no, I will go up against anyone in the Friends board game. Absolutely, and bet a lot of money.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
It's shameful. It's very shameful for me, but it's impressive at the same time. So absolutely.
More
Hidden
impressive.
talents.
There you go. I like it. Thank you. You didn't pick weightlifting, so at least I get that compliment from you. I'll take it. Well, guys, we've come to the end. Thank you guys so much for being on. It was an absolute pleasure. And before we go, Haley, starting with you, do you have any parting words? Anything you got coming up you want folks to know about?
No, I'm just gonna be chilling in my off season. That's it. So
Awesome. Well, I'm sure everyone's going to be keeping up with you for sure. You got a lot of eyes on you, and you're an inspiration to a lot of people out there. So keep doing what you're doing. And Tasia, yourself?
you.
Oh, I'm the same as Haley. Just we're kind of in a waiting game here. So hopefully exciting stuff to come in 2021.
All right. Awesome. Well, you guys are awesome, like we said, and thank you once again. And hopefully we can get you back on and have another conversation. There's obviously lots more that we can talk about, this one being mostly about the games, and we'll definitely be keeping up with yourself. We're big fans for sure. For the listeners out there, guys, as always, be sure to head over to powermonkeyfitness.com for services and upcoming events. Also check out our Instagram pages for regular teaching and technical content at Power Monkey Fitness, at Dave Durante, and at Ollie Chad. And on behalf of Power Monkey Fitness, we're your host. I'm Chad Vaughn with Dave Durante. Until next time, guys, thank you all for listening.